Hola, chicos. Today we're going to have a look at some advanced grammar. We're going to talk about hypothetical situations. I'm going to start by giving you some examples, things that are not true, obviously, but if they were, let's imagine la vida de mis sueños. Si yo fuera superhéroe, yo sería la Mujer Maravilla. Si yo fuera mexicana, yo comería tacos al pastor todos los días. Si yo fuera una persona rica, yo viajaría por todo el mundo. Si fuera niño otra vez, yo sería más simpática a mi hermano menor. Si fuera el presidente, daría más dinero a las escuelas públicas. So you'll notice in every sentence I'm starting with the phrase si fuera, which means if I were. If I wanted to talk about you, just add an S to that verb, si fueras, if you were. And then the result, what would happen, that's just the conditional tense. Sería, I would be, tendría, I would have, and so on. So on your note organizer, you're going to practice this. I'm going to give you a question, pause, and write your answer. Si fueras un superhéroe, ¿quién serías tú? Si fueras mexicano, ¿qué harías? Si fueras una persona rica, ¿qué harías con todo ese dinero? Si fueras niño o niña otra vez, ¿qué harías más o qué harías diferente? Si fueras el presidente, ¿qué harías con tu poder y tu influencia? So once you've finished that practice, there's some notes to take here. Again, pause as you need to. I'm going to talk fairly quickly, but pause so you can get the information down. But we're talking about a specific kind of sentence today, a contrary to fact sentence or an if clause sentence. And these sentences, they have two clauses. Remember, a clause is simply a phrase within your larger sentence. One of the clauses begins with the word if, or in Spanish, si. That's the part that's not true. Then you've got a result clause. What would happen? For example, si estuviera en Perú, vería los Andes. If I were in Peru, I'm not, it's contrary to fact, but if I were, I would see the Andes. So let's break this down into the two components. First, the if clause. This is the part that's untrue or at least unlikely. The if clause always begins with the word si, no accent mark, that means if. It may or may not be the first clause. This is flexible. And your if clause, when it's contrary to fact, it always contains a verb in the imperfect subjunctive. That's that ra, ras, ra conjugation we learned earlier this year. The second clause, called the result clause, well, that's the result. What would happen if the other part were true? May or may not be the first clause, always contains a conditional verb. Visitaría a mis abuelos. I would visit my grandparents. Compraría un coche. I would buy a car. Now, a word about order, sequence. Just like in English, there is flexibility about which clause starts your sentence. Si yo pudiera, iría a la reunión. If I could, I would go to the meeting. But I could flip-flop it. Yo iría a la reunión si yo pudiera. I would go to the meeting if I could. It's fine either way. So here are 4 practice sentences. Pause the video, do your practice, and then check your work.